You're the defending champion for the US Open. You're the world #1 tennis player. What do you think has changed for your mindset and the way you've approached the game?
The way I manage all of the stress, expectations, like the mental part of the game. It was hard work. Tennis gave me so much of understanding life, learning how to be better every day.
You had a 24% red recovery at the final of the US Open last year. What's the US Open like for you?
The energy is always special. I feel like every person in New York is into tennis and you can feel it in the crowd.
Some people have described your game as emotional.
I would call my game very aggressive and I would call myself very emotional.
What does bring you back to the positive mindset?
Well, I think...
Aryna, welcome to the Whoop podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for doing this. I've been a huge admirer of your career, especially of late. It seems to be taking off, and you're an amazing ambassador, I think, for the game of tennis.
Thank you for having me. I love Whoop, and we were just talking before. I've been wearing a Whoop for 1,199 days.
It's a good data streak.
It's a good streak, right?
So let's go back for a second. When did you start playing tennis?
Oh, it's been a while. I started when I was 6 years old. So I'm playing tennis for 21 years. Can you believe?
Well, you're doing pretty well at it. And was it love at first sight? Like, did you immediately love the game?
I don't really remember like the first days of playing tennis. But I remember there was a period when I was like 8 or 9 years old when I wanted to quit, but I just didn't want to disappoint my parents. And I was like, I'll just give it another like try and see if I'll still gonna be in love with the game or I have to quit. And after 2 weeks of really struggling, I really fall in love with the practice every day. And yeah, I just waited for 2 weeks and then my love increased.
And you played a lot with your father.
I mean, he brought me into tennis, and yeah, I was till I think 14. I was always with my father on the tournament. He was always bringing me on court, and yeah, he was always there for me. So yeah, my father was huge inspiration of my tennis career.
Was there a particular moment you remember where you realized like, wow, I'm pretty good at this? You know, it's one thing to fall in love with a sport. I think many of us fall in love with sports. It's another thing to realize, you know, I could play this professionally.
Honestly, that's crazy because I think till my 16 or 17, I've been just doing it because that was the only thing I knew how to do, and I loved it, and I was very disciplined. I was training a lot, but I wasn't really thinking about like if I have a chance or should I be a tennis player. I was just doing it and slowly start playing the tournaments. And I think closer to 17, I was like, well, maybe I've got a chance, so I'll give it a try. So I think, let's say from 16 to 17, which is crazy, you know. I feel like nowadays kids, they so much into tennis and they want to be professional since very young, you know. For me, it's a bit like, it's been different.
They specialize earlier.
Yeah. They more matured and they grow faster than my generation. I don't know.
In the last 10 years, I mean, obviously you realized you were good at 17. Today you're the world #1. What do you think has changed for you as a tennis player?
I mean, it was hard work. It was a lot of hours and hours of repetitions, and yeah, a lot of ups and downs. Tennis gave me so much of understanding life and learning how to be better every day.
One thing that, you know, I've listened to you talk a little bit about is sort of a shift in your mindset over the last 10 years and the way you've approached the game.
I think, yeah, when you're just starting, you kind of like learning about the game, about how things are working. You're learning yourself, you know, like how you react to things. And with years, you're just trying to get better in everything and you improve in every asset of the game, you know, like your mental part of the game and the way you see stuff. So like with years, you're just improving and getting better and you see stuff different with years, you know, so I think it's a long process, of understanding things.
One observation I have is it feels like you're playing loose. It feels like you're yourself. You don't seem to have the same tension or anxiety that sometimes a fan can witness of other professional athletes. You sort of have a free way about you. And in a lot of ways, it looks like you're having fun.
I think it's important to have fun because, as you said, so many players got exhausted pretty early because they were too hard on themselves, too much into the professional side of the game, and like just kind of like wasted their energy on the wrong stuff. What I learned with years that it's really important to balance, your professional life with your personal life, and it's important to have fun and enjoy the journey, like enjoy ups and also enjoy downs. As long as you can, like feel something, like it means that you're living and you have to enjoy it. So, and I'm a fun person, like I'm not the one who's going to be too long in depression or something, or too long into this disappointment part of the game. I'm just trying to have fun and trying to stay in the moment, and I'm not really trying to put a lot of expectation on myself. And also I have a fun team around me, so we're always having so much fun, and it also helps to be really focused and kind of like aggressive on the court the way I am.
Speaking of your team and having fun, your coach almost like seemingly overnight got a pretty meaningful tattoo at one point. Talk a little bit about that.
I mean, it wasn't a permanent tattoo, but I don't know. Honestly, I don't know how we always get to that crazy stuff, like, I don't know. We just following the flow, and one day he came and he showed that tattoo, and I was like, okay, put it on your head. And he's like, okay. And then he went to the bathroom, he did it, he came back. I'm like, well, that looks good. So maybe you should go for a real one, And then he said no, but probably one day he's going to show up with a real tiger tattoo on his head.
Some people have described your game as like emotional, and you show a lot of emotion on court. Do you think that's a fair categorization?
I would call my game very aggressive, and I would call myself very emotional. So, yeah, I would kind of agree with that.
And do you think you've had that kind of aggressiveness as a player since you were 17, or is it something that you've intentionally kind of grown into?
Oh, I had it since my 6.
Okay, since day one.
My goal was to hit the ball as hard as possible.
As far as possible?
Not really far as possible. I was trying to bring it, inside of that like square thing. But yeah, I would go all over the place. And with the years, I just kind of like bring my target inside of the court.
Well, your aggressiveness certainly shows up in your power. Right? I mean, one of the most amazing statistics about your game is that your forehand is more powerful than, I think, every men's player.
I mean, probably it just happened for once, and now everyone says that I'm more powerful, but they have a better consistency using that power, My forehand is, it's still in progress, work in progress, but I can hit some strong forehands.
Let's talk a little bit about training, because I know you're super into training and obviously very healthy. You've been on Whoop for quite some time, which is awesome. And why don't we talk about your health span, which of course is your Whoop age. So you're 27 going on 19, according to Whoop. That's pretty good.
My 18th birthday coming soon, so guys, you all invited.
That's pretty good. I'm impressed, first of all, with your sleep consistency, which is close to 80%. Sleep consistency, going to bed and waking up at the same time, that's very hard for people who travel as much as you do.
Yeah, I mean, I never had struggle with the sleep. You just like give me opportunity and I'm going to go and sleep because I know how important it is. So, yeah. And it's very important, like, to perform well. It's important to get your hours of sleep, and every person have a different amount of hours. And I'm always trying to, stay in my like 7 to 9 hours.
Yeah, I mean, you certainly spend like 8 or 9 hours in bed, and you're getting on average between 7:45 and just over 8 hours of sleep a night. That's
Yeah.
terrific.
No, that's very important.
And just, of course, making you younger, which is good. Close to 20,000 steps a day. I assume a lot of that's from tennis.
I believe so, yeah.
Do you find you're doing kind of active recovery throughout the day and moving around a lot, or will you have a hard session and then kind of shut down?
Well, I think moving is healing, so you gotta stay active and like do some mobilities and I feel like whenever I'm not doing anything like laying in the couch, I think it's actually makes me feel worse. And then on the next day, actually my whoop, for example, recovery is going like into the yellow zone or even like red zone.
Yeah.
So, and whenever like I have a day off and I'm like keep moving, keep like doing stuff, maybe a little bit of mobility, the next day my recovery is much higher. So for me, moving is healing.
Moving is healing. I like that. What sorts of things do you do when you have a lower recovery?
I try to get more hours of sleep and I do some mobility and yeah, basically that's it. That's what usually helps to get back on track.
Do you have a bedtime routine? Like certain things you like to do before bed?
Yeah, my
Is this some
skincare.
skincare?
My skincare, yeah.
Like anything related to the bedroom itself? Do you like it dark, cold?
For me, it has to be very cold.
Me too, yeah.
Yeah, it's like I don't understand how people can sleep when it's like so warm. Like I feel, and actually I have to say that I've been tracking my whoop when my AC in the huddle room wasn't working and I was too lazy to switch the rooms. So I had to, like
And then you realize you didn't sleep as well.
I cannot sleep when it's
Yeah.
warm. And then my recovery always been in the yellow zone. And then when I put it like in like really cold, like I don't know, like 17 or 16 degrees, like my recovery goes like really high, and it also has to be like really dark and quiet. So it's tricky with me to find like a perfect hotel to stay, or yeah,
So
it
good
has to
sleep
be.
hygiene. You have very good sleep hygiene.
Yeah.
And any type of breathing techniques you'll do or anything like meditation?
Yeah, we do. Like it's all depends on the situation and when I need like an extra recovery. Like on the tournaments after crazy match and it's pretty late and you come back and you still, kind of like pumped up, like we do some breathing, like legs up breathing before bedtime, just to, like slow down the heart rate and just to kind of like switch off from everything. So yeah, we do some breathing and then I go to bed because once again, sleep is very important.
So you'll do that like to relax at the
Yeah,
end of the day.
yeah.
Do you ever find yourself doing visualization of matches or anything like that?
I've been trying, but then you can go like really deep into that stuff. So I'm trying to do it a little bit. Whenever I do like the breathing technique, I always like, try to think about tennis, what I want to see on court and a little bit of that part, but not too much.
Yeah. It seems you naturally have like a positive disposition. You don't strike me as someone who carries a lot of anxiety going into a match. Is that fair?
Yeah, I just, I think it's important to understand that everyone feels the same. And it also helps to, I don't know, relax a little bit before the match.
Yeah. Everyone's under the same pressure. So
Yeah, everyone experienced the same stress, and when you're young, you think that you're the only one who's feeling that way. And then you keep thinking about that. Then you try to get rid of it, which is never works. You start thinking even more about that. And it's, you're pretty exhausted before going, into the match. So I think it's important just to understand that we all people and we all experience the same, and it's absolutely normal to be a little bit stressed. And then you forget about that and you're able to focus on the actual match.
it's a good attitude. Okay, back to your glowing green health span here. 680 minutes a week of time in heart rate zones 1 to 3. I assume a lot of that's from tennis.
Well, yeah.
You play a lot of tennis. Are there other types of workouts you've gotten into doing off the tennis court?
Of course, we do a lot of gym.
A lot of gym.
Yeah, and it depends on the period. It's can be conditioning, can be some body weight, can be some mobility, but yeah, it's tennis and gym.
your sleep stress, I was just looking at this, is essentially zero. So you don't have any stress when you're going to sleep, even during tournaments.
Yeah, you just need to find the perfect way going to the bed, because before I would force myself, like after like late matches, I would come back and it's pretty late, like for example, 1 a.m. And I would try to force myself to go to bed, and it never works. Then it's like the hours are much less and the recovery, it's not that good, and HRV is like really low. So I'm not really forcing. I can be awake till like 4, like trying to, like be in my routine, which would be, like in a normal day. Like, for example, I get back at, I don't know, like 7 or 8. And then I would just like watch some Netflix, like be like chill, not without like forcing myself. And then like apparently you just fall asleep. So even when I'm like late after match, I'm not forcing, and I still gonna get my hours of sleep. Even if I go to bed at 4 a.m., I will get my hours of sleep and then go practice.
You recently had a VO2 max of 55, which is quite high. The VO2 max being like how much oxygen consumption your body can consume. So that's obviously a sign that your body is peaking physically. And it seems like leading up to Wimbledon, there were a lot of things trending in the right direction from a physiological standpoint.
Well, I mean, I don't know how. Maybe it's because of my biological age, and my body is like really working well.
Your whoop has inspired you?
Yes, I love it. When I saw the numbers, I was like, "Did you guys actually did something in the system just so I feel good?"
No, we didn't do anything. We didn't do anything. That's your real data. How about when you get a score that's like a bad score, but you have to perform? So remarkably, you had a 24% red recovery at the final of the U.S. Open last year.
I mean, once again, I look at this as a normal situation. I've been playing for like 2 weeks, like high intensity matches, and of course, like it's tough to be like on the top of the recovery, and also body always have some extra. And like when I saw that numbers, I wasn't sad or anything, and it didn't really affect my performance, because I was like, well, I'll think about that later. I'll just like give it all, everything I have. And then after the match, I'll have like a few days to recover. So nothing to be worried about.
I think that's a good resilient attitude. I sometimes hear from people, oh, well, I'm afraid to see a bad score and that score is going to affect me mentally. But I do think that you can build a mindset around being able to overcome these things.
No, but like when you wear your device constantly, you learn that, for example, you can be like on the peak of your like data, but then like your day's not going really well and you don't feel good or you don't perform well. And then you have days when like your data is like really low, but you like feel good and you perform well. And it's a learning process. Like, so you have this good attitude, like, it's okay. I'm just learning. Let's see how can I perform at this data, So my mindset is like that. So because I don't want that numbers to affect my performance. So I just have like kind of like positive attitude towards
Well, I think that's terrific. Are there any specific things like from a lifestyle standpoint or a behavior standpoint that you've noticed affect your recovery on Whoop? I mean, an obvious one's alcohol, but like...
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, my Whoop age was 19.6, and then I had 1 week of vacation right now where I allow myself to have a little drinks, and now I'm 19.7, so no alcohol, I believe. Yeah. And then whenever I would just do stuff that brings me joy, like it can be different stuff, like for example, shopping, or I went for a good dinner, I would see that like on the next day, my Whoop data is like
a little better?
Much better, yeah.
So shopping's good for your recovery?
Yeah, shopping, spending money, buying good things, also receiving great gifts from my boyfriend, just so you know. And
you're inspiring a lot of people on these podcasts, I would say that.
Yeah, and no alcohol, otherwise your biological age gonna go.
Do you have any tips for travel? Getting on a plane, long international flight, things like hydration or sleeping, trying to get on the right time zone or not the right time zone?
Definitely, if you go to the plane, it's hydration. Try to eat clean. Do not snack a lot. And I still think that sleep on the plane is important. The sleep on the plane, it's so different. It's not a deep sleep. It's, it just kind of like napping. So I think it's important because like trying to stay awake, it's like you keep snacking, you watching a lot of like a screen, like watching TV or like being on the internet. So I think it's important just to chill there, drink water. Hydration is the key, and sleep or a little nap is also important. Even if you're gonna land in the evening at your destination, I think it's still important to just chill at the plane a little bit.
When you reflect on a season, what are the things that you look at in terms of success? So for example, right now, you're very dominantly world number one. I think you've got like 12,000 points and the number two has 7,000. So you're well and ahead the best player in the world. And then last year though, you won, two majors. So like, how do you think about that 24 versus 25?
Well, it depends how you look at both years, but I'm just trying to look at each year as if I got better at something that I wasn't really good enough before. So I think this year I got better on so many things, and I think, I still achieved a lot of things, and I think both years were really successful in the different ways. So I'm pretty happy right now for my year.
Well, it's going really well and you're playing phenomenally well. When you say you feel like you've gotten better at specific areas, what are you thinking of?
The way I manage my stress, I got much better. Also, like some tennis things that I learned to improve and got better. Also, the way I manage all of the stress, expectations, like the mental part of the game, I think, I improved a lot in that asset.
In the last few years, it feels like you've brought the drop shot more into your game. Is that fair?
Yeah, by accident. I always been really good in the touch game on the practice court, but I would never really try it on the match court because I wasn't really sure how to use those shots. And then I was playing a match and I got injured in Rome, and the only option for me was just like to short the points. And I was like, okay, whatever, I'm gonna just go for the drop shots. And I think I made like, I don't know, close to 30 drop shots, and all of them were really successful. And I was like, well, maybe that's,
That's part of it.
That's a good one, So, and I started to use drop shot more often after like that match in Rome.
The interesting thing about the drop shot for a player that's as powerful as you are is that you can hit a drop shot and lose the point, but it creates now something for your opponent to be thinking about.
Yeah, exactly.
And now they're moving forwards when you come up to hit an approach.
Yeah.
And it makes all of a sudden your power game that much better.
Yeah, sometimes it's not really about winning in the moment, meaning like that point, but it's more about like put that little doubt in their head.
Yeah.
And then it's going to bring much more benefits in the future points. So sometimes you just do that for that particular reason.
Just to plant that seed of,
exactly.
I can do this to you.
Yeah. Just so the players step in a little bit, and then you can go back to your powerful shots, but they too close to the courts to deal with that power. So,
when you say you want to improve an area of your tennis game, how do you decide that you're going to work on it? Is it something that you've observed in matches that you didn't feel comfortable doing? Is it something where your coach or, members of your team say, hey, we want to see you work on this?
I think we talk a lot with the team, and each of member of a team brings something on the table, and then we discuss. And I think it's really important to talk a lot with your team to get to something, because sometimes you see things differently than they see from the side. And through talking, through lots of conversations, options, and just through normal conversation.
You are the defending champion for the US Open coming up. What's the US Open like for you?
I love it. It's one of my favorites for sure. It's very hectic, but I enjoyed that craziness over there. And I don't know, I just like every time I play on the stadium, I feel so good. I feel like home for some reason. And I always want to stay there as long as possible. So US Open is a big one. That's why I think last year I was more happy about US Open than Australia Open. I don't know why, but US Open felt so special.
It has a special energy. You know,
There is, yeah.
I grew up on Long Island and I would go to the US Open with my dad, you
Mm.
know, almost every year as a kid. And especially those matches under the lights when
Yeah.
the crowd gets into it and people have had a few drinks and there's like a liveliness.
As long as they don't close the roof, I love it because when
That's
they
right, yeah.
close the roof, when I played against Coco, my ears were hurting so much because they were so loud.
It was so loud, yeah.
So loud. Because I don't know, like the sound goes like right on you. But the energy is always special. I feel like every person in New York is into tennis and you can feel it in the crowd.
You and Coco did a good job kind of resolving that more recent, you know, sort of situation. I felt also like maybe you were a little unfairly criticized for some of your comments. You know, it was right after the match and you were sort of expressing
I
you wanted to play better.
I was just upset. And honestly, it was also like a lesson for me, you know, just like to take my time. I was super mad at myself and I made all of those comments, even though I don't really think that.
Yeah.
And I felt so bad afterwards. And I'm really glad that I messaged Coco and I'm really happy that she's such a nice girl that she was like, girl, it's okay. Don't worry. We're friends. We're good. I got it. And yeah, it was a tough moment and definitely never going to happen again.
Well, those are important moments though, because you learn a lot from it.
You learn.
And it's a reminder, you know, someone like you're under the camera so often and you're under the microscope and these tournaments so often. It's almost easy to forget that you have all these people watching you. And you say something like that, you kind of realize, oh wow, like, you know, I have to be careful in this environment too.
Exactly.
And protect yourself, right?
Yeah.
The Wimbledon loss to Amanda, it seemed like you carried that with a very different attitude.
Yeah, you know, I had my time. Of course, I yelled, I cried with the team. But myself, and I had like an hour and a half, I think, before media. And then I came there and I was like, well, what can I do right now? And I was just like making fun of the whole situation because, you know, the moment I entered the press conference room, it was full of people, you know, like usually it's a bit less than that. And I was like, oh, you guys are waiting for like some spiciness over here. And I was like, you're not gonna get it.
That's exactly what they were waiting for.
You know, so yeah, I carried in a different way. And also, you know, I'm always very respectful to my opponents. I'm not the one who's like gonna be disrespectful, and that's just not me, you know? I've always been respectful. But the thing is that, like, people always want to find something bad in you. And the moment you screw up a little bit, just a little bit, let your emotions get over you, people are gonna just like, oh, you see, she's like that, she's like that. No, I'm not, you know? And I just wanted to show at the Wimbledon that it was just a lesson, you know? Like, it wasn't me. It was just like me not really well controlling my emotions. I just proved to the world that we all make mistakes, and it's normal to make mistakes.
I think you're totally right.
As long as you learn from that, you know?
Why do you think the men's game has had such stability at the top and the women's game has had so many different, you know, world number ones? So in the last 15 years, there's been 17 different world number ones on the women's side.
I mean, the way I see it, the women's body are more complex than men's, and our hormones, our like everything is so different to men's. Emotionally, they're more stable, so that's why they basically the same every day. Yeah, they can struggle with some things, but emotionally, they are stable, and I think that's why they're able to be bring that consistency.
Well, I think you're gonna stay at the top for a while. So I feel
fingers crossed.
I feel pretty good.
I'm trying to work with my hormones and make sure that I have something good when I'm like I can feel that, you know, like I'm getting really emotional. I have something that's gonna bring me back to the positive mindset.
What does bring you back to the positive mindset?
Talking to my family, for example, just for a little bit. Go out, you know. Out, not like drinking, but like go to the place that I love to eat, for example, dinner. Or like if it's a morning, go for the breakfast, have my coffee with a beautiful view and just sit there and enjoy. Like actually now it's reading. I'm not a book person. I'm more about like watching movies, but recently I've been into reading. So, and reading also helps to kind of like relax a little bit. Once again, like you live and you learn and you find those little things that's bring you joy and helps you to stay stable.
What have you been reading?
Into the Magic Shop. Very easy book, but it's a real story and it's kind of like related to the brain. I love it. And now is a romantic book named called Maybe in the Next Life, in another life, maybe in another life.
And it's like a romantic comedy or something.
Not comedy, just romantic.
Just romantic.
Love
Yeah.
story, I believe. I'm still reading, so I want to see where it leads. But
Well, I do think there's a phenomenon. It probably applies to professional athletes, but certainly for the rest of society, which is that, you know, our bodies are understimulated and our minds are overstimulated. You know, you're looking at screens and phones
Yeah.
and bzzz, you know.
yeah.
And so there's something about reading which is, you know, pulls you out of that kind of dopamine cycle of.
Yeah, I mean, especially this social life can be brutal, you know, and watching a lot and, you know, like comparing yourself to others. There's so many good images on social media which brings anxiety to you sometimes, you know. So I think it's important to, you know, stay away from that for a little bit, not for forever, but just for a little bit, give yourself your time and read, help your recovery, and just be happy.
Okay, we're gonna do some rapid fire questions.
Oh wow, okay, let's do that.
This is exciting. What's the most memorable sporting event you've watched?
I mean, not like a sport event, but watching basketball for me is amazing when you sit there and you see the. I look at this from like a professional point of view and see the way these guys like moving with their height is like it's impressive. I'm always like just stuck looking at their legs. I'm like calling my fitness coach like, well, we're definitely doing something wrong. Or yeah, I watch soccer and you know, for me it's crazy because I never been into the soccer. And then I went like watch it live and it was like, I think World Cup final. And I really loved it watching live. For me, there was like, wow, that's crazy. Okay, maybe I like soccer actually.
What's your advice to a 17-year-old girl right now who wants to be a pro athlete?
Do not listen people from the outside. Just ignore and they don't know anything and focus on yourself and make sure that every day you're getting better.
That's pretty good advice for entrepreneurs too, by the way. When I was young and starting this company, that would have been good advice.
Really?
Yeah, because when you start a company,
nobody believes.
No one believes, you know, and you kind of have to go inwards and find that sense of confidence and it's a game of rejection. You know, you get rejected a lot.
Yeah.
You know, people you want to recruit, money you want to raise, the product you want to build, these things all don't really work.
Yeah, as long as you believe in something, you should just follow your beliefs and, you know, people always want to screw you down, so.
There's certainly a feeling, I think, if you're trying to do something that hasn't been done before, that you're going to face a lot of criticism.
Yeah.
And in the case of being a pro athlete, it's kind of the equivalent of not having done something before because, you know, how many people that you grew up with are pro athletes now?
Not many.
None, probably. So, you know, the equivalent of your circle when you were young thought it was impossible.
People who really gives it all in whatever they have passion to, like the hard work, and they put it as a main priority. I don't know, call it God or like, or energy or something, gonna give you opportunities. So if you're really into something, just put it as a main priority and you will have your chance. I believe in that.
I believe that too. Okay, we're going to build the best tennis player. Okay? So you can pick...
That's a tough one. I always pick myself, even though I'm not that in love with myself.
Serve.
I would go for Roger. It wasn't like the speed-wise the biggest serve, but the targets he was putting, it was the best, I think.
Okay, forehand.
Okay, Yannick.
Backhand.
Novak.
This is a good tennis player we're putting together here. Volley.
Volley. Wait, let me just think. Oh my gosh. I cannot, like, Navratilova.
And the mental side.
Novak.
Why Novak for mental?
I mean, he is the best at mental part of the game, and I love talking to Novak. And every time he gives me advice, it's really like a small thing, but it really helps me a lot.
Okay, last question. What is your lowest recovery ever on Whoop?
1%.
1%. Is there a good story behind it?
It was 2 times. Once I lost US Open final. I went to the bar with my team. I had a lot of tequilas, like not the shots, but the one like I think they call it golden tequila, which you just sip as a whiskey or cognac, you know. So I had like I think 3 or 4 glasses
That'll,
of that.
yeah.
Next day I woke up, it was 1%. And another one, I was getting sick and I woke up, it was 1%. And I was checking my data and I was like, okay, probably we better just, go see the doctor or just add some more nutrition stuff in my routine just so I don't get sick the next day. So one is funny, one is like,
It is kind of telling that one's alcohol and one's sickness.
so it's
if I had to
similar,
guess, it was going to be like, it's probably alcohol or sickness. Well, this has been really fun, Aryna. We're so, grateful for your performance and career and for being a partner of Whoop.
I love being partner. Thank you for having me.